You're welcome to this special edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. In this edition, we bring to you an exclusive interview session with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Mr. Usman Gul Mohammed, about the action plans of the company and progressive power sector milestones. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. What is your designation at the Transmission Company of Nigeria?
My name is Usman Gul Mohammed. I'm the Managing Director of Transmission Company of Nigeria, as well as the Chairman, West African Power Pool Executive Board.
You have been heading TCN for over 1 year. What plans have you created to expand the transmission network?
I want to tell you that, first of all, the first motivation for me to come to serve Nigeria is because of the president. You know, the president was my governor when I was in the primary school, and we know what he represents. We know that the kind of quality he has, and since when we are children, we have always been learning, trying to learn from him. So if I tell you, I'm one of the Buhari's student of leadership. So that is the reason why I accepted to come. Now, I want to tell you that since we came in February last year, you also have to understand what we inherited. We inherited a transmission company of Nigeria, which was managed by Manitoba Hydro for 4 years. And for information, Nigeria was paying Manitoba Hydro for the 3 years, that the contract for 3 years is $23 million plus. That's what Nigeria was paying. And the 1 year, it means it's 1/3 of that money. That was Nigeria was paying. But Manitoba Hydro mismanaged TCN to the extent that the company is at the point of total collapse. We established what they call Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program. That program contained 4 things. It means that for us to stabilize and make the grid a modern grid, we need to do 4 things. 4. One of these 4 things is frequency control. We need to achieve frequency control. By the grace of God, and since June 2017, we have achieved frequency control of 49.5 and 50.5. By the grace of God, this has not been achieved in the history of Nigeria in the last 20 years. But the grid code requirement of frequency control is supposed to be 49.75 and 50.25. The WAP code is supposed to be 49.80 and 50.2 Hz. We have established a plan to achieve 49.80 and 50.2, but we are waiting for the appropriate time to implement it. So that is one. The second thing we need to achieve is what we call spinning reserve. If you check our daily broadcast now, you see the spinning reserve is either 0 or is 40. Spinning reserve is putting generators on a mood in such a way that if there's a great instability, this generator will take up. It's an auxiliary service that you need to pay. When we came last year, as part of this program, we established a committee to review why we don't get spinning reserve from those generators that we have signed contract with. And the outcome of that committee is that the tariff we are paying for spinning reserve is not good enough. So we wrote to NAC and recommended the tariff that is good to intensify the generators. As God will have it, just about 1 month ago, NAC approved that we should go for competitive procurement of spinning reserve. And we have advertised it. We have advertised procurement of 300 megawatt of spinning reserve. This is the first time in the history of power sector that we have done such kind of advertisement. Now we are procuring 300. The ultimate actually is supposed to have 450. So when we get the 300, we are going to see how we are going to increase it by another 150 so that it becomes 450, because the spinning reserve is supposed to be 10% of the total generation capacity. So with the generation capacity of 4,500 to 5,000, we are supposed to have at least spinning reserve of 450.
You have explained 2 focal points for TCN growth. What are the other strategies for transforming the company?
The next thing we need to achieve is that we need to have a functional SCADA. Nigeria has attempted to have a SCADA to procure SCADA 3 times, and 3 times we were not successful. The last one that took place in between 2007 and 2006 and 2007, I was in PMU when the World Bank financed the SCADA. Nigeria spent about $46 million, but the SCADA that was completed has significant deficiencies that it cannot see more than 40% of the network as we speak. And even the 40% that it sees, there are some areas that it cannot see very well because of communication and some other reasons. The same way when we came as part of this program, we established a committee to review the reason why for 3 times we attempted to do SCADA and we are not merely successful. And the findings of the committee include that we have a lot of deficiencies. Our procurement was not point to point. We didn't anticipate expansion, and the communication network is very poor, and all these things. Now, when we got that report, we now procure a consultant to go and do the scoping, and the consultant is EDF, Electricity de France. EDF did the work and submitted their report in December. When we got the report, we still feel that it's not enough for us to collect the report like that. So we subjected the report to international conference where we brought experts all over the world. You are aware we brought 3 power grid. The power grid of India, which managed about 350 gigawatt of electricity, was brought here. The power grid of Ghana, Gridco, and the power grid of Italy. We also brought all the original equipment manufacturers and all the experts of SCADA in Nigeria. We brought them. And we gave them the report 3 weeks before the time. They scrutinized the report and they came up with their finding. The finding of that report has significantly improved the scoping report. We cannot even start the procurement of the SCADA until we fix our communication backbone. And that also reinforced the position we took that we have to cancel the concession contract that we met, because it's consistent with the outcome of that report of the workshop. Power Grid of India, with all the capacity they have never concessioned a single of their fiber to anybody, because the fiber is actually, it's not for communication, it's not for GSM or for broadband. Of course, being a public agency, we are supposed to support government policy, like taking broadband to areas that are not inaccessible, because our transmission go to all other places. But the main objective is not for commercialization, it's for the control and the management of the grid. This is the problem. Now, the next most important thing we need to do to stabilize the grid so that it becomes very, very modern is that we need to have critical investment in lines and substations. We need to expand the grid both in line and substation and put what is called N-1. Now, what is N-1? N-1 means that anywhere you have a need for 60 megawatt, for example, transformer, you put 60 times 2. Anywhere you have a need for a line, you either build 2 lines. Let's say if the line is supposed to be 1,000 megawatt, you're supposed to put 2 lines, that is 2 lines parallel, or you build the line in loop. That's N-1. By the grace of God, we have raised enough money to expand the grid to at least 20,000 megawatt by 2021. And not only that, we have also come up with programs that will enable us to attract some of the best companies that will come and implement our project. So this is where we are. And I can tell you, we are on track, because even TCN staff, they are highly motivated to do this job, and you can see what they're doing.
TCN is managing a 72 billion naira fund to improve some distribution networks. This has drawn some reactions from the discos. What is your take on this?
It's not the discos that say that they don't know about, it's the association of discos. And the association of discos is something that we don't deal with, because we deal with people that we have agreement with, not with people that we don't have an agreement with. Now, for information, this 72 billion is an intervention by the federal government because of lack of investment in the disco. So it's actually the failure of the discos to perform, and which is creating a lot of problems in the system. that compelled the government, who has also about 40% shareholding in the discourse, to do this. And for information, the modalities of whether it's loan or something has not been finalized. But for information, 72 billion, how much is 72 billion? It's a small money compared to what we need to do to expand the network of the discourse. For information, when we did come up with the investment requirement for the transmission, rehabilitation, and expansion program, we also simulated our system planning, simulated the investment requirement of the discourse to be able to pick the load. And our simulation is actually looking at hard investment. They didn't even look at the soft investment. So hard investment in terms of substation, their injection substation and their feeders. And the numbers that came is over $4 billion. I can give you that number. So what is 2 billion? It's just a meager amount. But let me also tell you, we are working with all the discourse that we are doing intervention with. If you want to do supply and installation contract, how do you procure a supply and installation contract when you don't know the place where you're going to install? So it means we are working with those places that discourse. So but all the discourse, of course not. It's only those that are interested that we are working with. But is TCN solely managing that 72 billion? No. The PIU is situated in TCN. But actually, it's TCN, Ministry of Power, and those discourse that are involved, that are doing the procurement, all the evaluation, everything, they are involved. So this is how it is. So Association of Disco, yeah, this is an association. They can say whatever they want to say, but the reality of the matter is that we are working with the disco. But let me also ask you, is TCN not interested in investment in disco? We are connected to the discourse. I can tell you, even here in Abuja, we have lost 2 transformers as a result of lack of investment in the discourse. We lost 60 MVA in Kubwa just recently. We lost 60 MVA in Karu. The one in Karu we have replaced it. The one in Kubwa we have not yet replaced it. So if there is a network that is very poor, it also hit our transformer and cause us to lose our transformers and lose our equipment. So it's a problem to us. The power sector is driven by investment. And if there's no investment, there's no way you can move forward. If TCN, what we are doing now, is it not investment? It's either you use investment or you use innovation. So reduce your excess cost and mismanagement and put the money in investment. You understand? Make sure you are focused. This is what it is. There are some discourse now that right now, as we speak with you, when we implemented the NEGIP actually was intervening, because NEGIP started before the privatization. So there was intervention that NEGIP was doing in discourse as well as in TCN. All the transformers, except maybe 1 or 2 for TCN, and which we are almost at the stage of completing the installation, have been installed. The one of disco, not even one of them has been installed. Go to Niger and see network. Are we not giving electricity to Niger? 90% of electricity in Niger, we are the one giving them. What of Benin and Togo? 80% of electricity in Benin and Togo, we are the one giving them. If you go there, you see that there is stable electricity.
Let's take a break for a short message. Please stay tuned.
In the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, we transmit bulk electricity from power generating companies, GenCos, to distribution load centers of various distribution companies, DISCOs. Nationwide, we do not generate electricity, neither do we distribute same directly to electricity consumers. TCN has 2 business units: the Transmission Service Provider, TSP, and Independent System Operations, ISO. The ISO comprised of System Operation, SO, and Market Operation, MO. The business units all perform specialized functions under the TCN umbrella. Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, wielding power for national economic growth. This message is brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
Welcome back from the break. The exclusive interview with the Managing Director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria continues. The Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, locking up TCN for tax reconciliation issues. What have you done as a taxation expert to address this, as it is raising concerns?
First of all, it's very, very disturbing because staff can get angry and they can shut the system. That is the reality. Because as I told you, as we speak with you, because of the liquidity crisis in the sector, TCN staff, despite the fact that we are the best performing, we are the one working hard, TCN staff are the least paying. I think the least you expect is to get the kind of alteration from a government agency that came and locked the office. This is the least you expect. I came here, it's 1 year, few months plus now. When did they do that assessment? They will tell you this assessment was done maybe about 3 years ago. So if they did the assessment when Manitoba Hydro was in charge, when they were not doing auditing of TCN, why did they not lock the place that time? Why now? And that is the reason why immediately I came, I wrote to them that I'm going to recruit a tax consultant to review our taxes and put a structure that will not create problem between us and federal revenue. There was a time they wrote back to us to ask us that they want us to pay certain money. I wrote them and I said it takes time to conclude the tax, the recruitment of the tax. And when we finished the recruitment, I wrote them. And the tax consultant, I also asked them to write to Federal Inland Revenue. And they wrote them. Did Federal Inland Revenue give us a warning that they went to lock our office? No, there was no warning. Don't forget that TCN is the only company in the unbundled power sector that its liability has not been taken by NEMCO. You understand what I'm saying? Now, NEMCO was created to make all the successor companies viable. And making them viable means that all their historical liabilities are going to be taken. Now, when they took the decision to, when they are taking the liabilities at that time, the intention was to fast-track those companies that are going to be privatized. So they fast-tracked, they did the one of the DISCOs and GENCOs. The one of TCN has not been taken. So this liability that they're taking, majority of them are liabilities, they're actually liabilities that are for historical debt. Now, when I came, we wrote to the government. The government actually constituted a team headed by the MD of NEMCO, and they are actually reviewing the liability. I think even recently they submitted a report. But even the tax element, they said they want to see the conclusion of the tax consultant review before they can conclude it. So the majority of this tax are actually tax that you can claim a liability, a legacy liability tax. Now, the next thing is that from the numbers that PwC did our audit, now I told you there was no audit before now. Now, from the numbers, you will see that there are certain taxes that is unreasonable. Let me give you. The tax are supposed to be calculated on the basis of revenue, isn't it? Now, our revenue is our billing based on the tariff that NAC gave us. That is our revenue. But now, what is our revenue? Our actual revenue is what the DISCOs give us. So if the DISCOs give us 40%, you understand? Now we are operating at deficit. How do you expect us? We are operating at loss. How do you expect us to pay tax on the remaining 60% which we don't collect? So these are the kind of numbers that we are supposed to sit down and tackle with the Federal Inland Revenue.
There seems to be labor differences by the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, led by Chris Okonkwo. As the MD CEO of TCN, what is the true picture of the situation?
Definitely, there is no organization that you run that you not have issue with labor. This is a pure fact. You will always want one or two things with labor because labor have their own focus, you also have your own focus. But the reality of the matter is generally we are supposed to be working for the same objective. Because the overall objective of other labor and management is to see to the welfare of the staff and also to ensure that the growth and development of the organization. For Nigeria is for us to ensure that we have sustainable electricity across the country. That is our objective. So that is what we have been working on. It's not that we don't have slight disagreement. But if you look at the issue of locking our office that Okonkwo did, there's no single TCN staff. So who are those people? There's no single TCN staff that is involved. So this so-called division that you're talking, there's no division at all. There's no division. Look at what happened. Okonkwo used to be a staff of distribution. He rose to the rank of a PM in Ikeja Disco. As the way he has been operating to use the union to get promotion, he muzzled his way from PM and became a general manager. So he was never a general manager in his life. So when he became a general manager, the then MD of Iko Disco, Akamnono, said that he cannot post him anywhere because there's no place to put him because he is now has distorted the system in Ikeja Disco. That was how they brought him to TCN. Now when they brought him to TCN, they created grid metering created office of a general manager. Grid metering don't have a general manager before. They created it specifically for him. He actually sent somebody to me to say that he wanted to be posted as general manager Lagos. Because the general manager Lagos used to be the former president of the Senior Staff Association. Then I told him that no, it's not like that. The general manager of Lagos is one of the most important general managers we have in TCN because he controls about between 30 and 40% of our network. So it's not just anybody you will post. So we are going to organize an interview, and you will be part of the interview. After the interview, anybody who gets it, we are going to send. We organized the interview. Unfortunately, he was not the one that got it. Since that time, he has made it a point that he has to fight us. So the TCN branch of the Senior Staff Association replied him. At that time, I'm not even in office. I have already handed over. I'm in my house. So I could not have influenced them. That is reality. And nobody was sure whether I would come back. So it's not that they're expecting anything from me. But they replied to him to correct the fact. And they mentioned what we have done with them within the period that I was here. They mentioned. So when eventually I came, he sent his deputy president, three of them, the three deputy presidents, to come and apologize. They apologized. After they apologized, I also told them, okay, since you have apologized me, I forgive you. And also, I want you to forgive the TCN branch who put the record straight. That was the end. The last strike was based on, he fought with some people in the office here. After they fought in the office, he wrote to IG, he wrote to DSS, he wrote to Commissioner of Police. We have our rules. So we set up an administrative panel, and the administrative panel inducted him that he was wrong. So we gave him credit to explain why he did some of those things he did. The next thing, he went and hired thugs to come and block this office. No single TCN engineer staff was part of it. He packed this dog from here to a hotel they call Green Mine Hotel in Utako and paid them there. I can give you a picture of the place and the payment that he was doing. That was how they left.
Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, a power generating company, recently said the eligible customer policy is beginning to yield results. Has TCN keyed into this policy?
Our transmission of system is with mainstream. It's not with the customers. But let me tell you how it is. You know, under the market rule, the eligible customers have to post LC, 3-month LC. Their payment for 3 months, they have to post it. So they post the LC in favor of mainstream.
LC?
Yes, letter of credit for that amount. Letter of credit for that amount in favor of mainstream. Mainstream is going to post an LC in our favor. We have already told them that we have not seen the LC, so they are working on it. They'll post the LC in our favor. So that if they don't pay 100%, we draw from the LC. So this is what, and you know that agreement also has what we call liquidated damage. So TCN, if we don't perform, there's penalty we are going to pay. Generator, if you fail to deliver, there's penalty we are going to pay. You understand? So it's driven by essential elements of your market and business. That's how it is. And are this discourse excluded? No. Because if an eligible customer is going to pass through the TCN network, the generator sign transmission system with transmission. If that customer is a 33 kV or 132 kV customer, then they will have to sign distribution use of system with the DISCO. Then also the eligible customer declaration provided for what they call transitional competitive charge, which this discourse will also be paid something for loss of revenue for the period that this is not with them. So what we need from the DISCO is cooperation, because there's a win-win situation in this case.
Stay put as we bring you more news in the Power Flash segment. Viewer, this is where we draw the curtain. We hope to keep you updated with events in the power industry as they unfold in subsequent editions. For another episode, please keep a date with Power Wheel, same time, same station next week. But until then, you can watch our program via our YouTube channel and as well reach us through these other platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Bye for now.